It started with a simple act of kindness at San Francisco International Airport. Marcus Chen, a pediatric nurse running late for his sister's wedding, spotted an elegant white-haired woman struggling with her phone and flight information. Without hesitation, he stepped out of the coffee line to help her, never imagining that this brief encounter would change his life forever. The woman was grateful, their conversation was pleasant, and Marcus boarded his flight, thinking nothing more of it. He had no idea he'd just helped May Musk, renowned model, nutritionist, and mother to one of the world's richest men. When a photo of their interaction went viral, Marcus discovered that sometimes the smallest gestures create the most powerful ripples. Marcus Chen woke up with a start. The sunlight streamed through the blinds he forgot to close last night. He squinted at his phone and jumped out of bed. 7:30? How did I sleep through my alarm? Marcus's small San Francisco apartment was quiet, except for the sound of horns, honking outside. His flight to New York was at 10, and he still needed to get ready and make it to the airport. He rushed to the bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. The mirror showed his tired eyes. Working night shifts at UCSF Medical Center was catching up with him. As a nurse in the pediatric unit, Marcus loved his job, but the hours were tough. Sandra's wedding, he reminded himself. Can't be late for my sister's big day. Marcus had promised to help with last-minute preparations before the ceremony on Saturday. His sister had been planning this wedding for a year, and he wouldn't let her down. He quickly showered and threw clothes into his suitcase. His apartment wasn't fancy, just a one-bedroom place in the Mission District that he could barely afford on a nurse's salary. But it was home, filled with photos of his family and small gifts from patients who had touched his life. Marcus's phone rang. It was his mother. "Marcus, are you on your way to the airport?" Her voice carried the slight accent from her native Taiwan. "Almost, Mom. Just finishing packing." "You're always running late. This is your sister's wedding. Your father and I already landed in New York yesterday." I know. I couldn't switch my shift. I'll make it, don't worry." His parents had moved to America 30 years ago with almost nothing. They worked multiple jobs so Marcus and Sandra could have better lives. His father had been a doctor in Taiwan, but had to start over as a medical assistant in the US. That's what inspired Marcus to go into healthcare. "Did you pack the gift?" his mother asked. Marcus froze. The wedding gift. He had ordered a special photo album with pictures of Sandra and her fiancé Michael from childhood to now. "Of course," he lied, rushing to his closet where the wrapped package sat. He grabbed it and stuffed it in his carry-on bag. "And your suit?" "Yes, Mom. Everything is under control." After hanging up, Marcus checked the time again. 8 o'clock. His rideshare would arrive in 15 minutes. He needed to hurry. As he packed his toiletries, Marcus thought about his patients. Last night, he had stayed an extra hour to comfort 8-year-old Lily after her surgery. Her parents couldn't be there because they had other children at home. It was moments like those that reminded him why he became a nurse. His phone buzzed with a text from his best friend, Carlos. "Don't talk to strangers at the airport this time. You'll miss your flight again." Marcus smiled. Last year, he had missed a flight to Chicago because he spent too long helping an elderly man find his gate. Carlos never let him forget it. "I'll try," he texted back. No promises. Marcus had always been this way. In high school, teachers called him the helper. In college, roommates said he'd give away his last dollar to someone who needed it. It wasn't something he thought about. Helping others was just what felt right. He grabbed a granola bar from the kitchen and checked his apartment one last time. Lights off, windows closed, plants watered. His neighbor, Mrs. Kim, had a key in case of emergencies. His phone buzzed again. The rideshare was downstairs. Marcus grabbed his suitcase and carry-on, locked his door, and rushed down the 3 flights of stairs. Outside, the San Francisco morning was cool and foggy, typical for June. The driver helped him load his bags into the trunk. "San Francisco International?" the driver asked. "Yes. Terminal 3, please. And I'm in a bit of a hurry." The driver nodded, pulling into the morning traffic. Marcus leaned back and took a deep breath. The city passed by outside the window, the colorful houses of the Mission District, busy people heading to work, street vendors setting up for the day. His phone buzzed with a notification. The airline app showed his flight was still on time. If traffic wasn't too bad, he might even have time to grab coffee before boarding. Marcus thought about New York. He hadn't seen his sister in 6 months. Sandra was 4 years younger, but had always seemed to have her life more together. A successful architect, engaged to a great guy, and now getting married in a fancy venue in Manhattan. Meanwhile, Marcus was still single, living paycheck to paycheck, and always running late. But he loved his life. His patients needed him. Just last week, a mother had hugged him with tears in her eyes after he spent hours helping her teenage son through a painful procedure. "You have a gift," she had said. "You make people feel safe." The driver turned onto the highway toward the IETS airport. Morning traffic was heavy, and Marcus checked the time nervously. "First time in New York?" the driver asked, making conversation. "No, my sister lives there. I'm going for her wedding." "Nice. I've never been. Always wanted to see Times Square," Marcus smiled. "It's impressive, but the real New York is in the neighborhoods. The small delis, the parks, the people." Talking helped distract him from worrying about the time. Marcus told the driver about his sister's favorite spots in Brooklyn, about the best pizza place near her apartment, about the time he got lost on the subway and ended up in the Bronx. The airport came into view, and Marcus felt relief wash over him. 8:45, he would make it. "Good luck with the wedding," the driver said as he helped unload the bags. "And hey, you made good time." Marcus smiled. "Thanks for the ride." As he walked toward the terminal entrance, pulling his suitcase, behind him, Marcus felt the familiar airport energy, the mix of excitement, stress, and possibilities. People rushing in all directions, emotional goodbyes, happy reunions. Little did he know that among all these travelers, a chance encounter was waiting that would change his life forever. Marcus entered Terminal 3 of San Francisco International Airport, immediately surrounded by the hustle and bustle of Monday morning travelers. The terminal was packed with people rushing to catch their flights, pulling suitcases and checking departure screens. He glanced at his watch. 8:50 a.m. His flight to New York was scheduled for 10:00 a.m., which gave him just over an hour to check in, get through security, and find his gate. Not ideal, but doable. The line at the check-in counter moved slowly. Marcus tapped his foot impatiently, watching families with small children, business travelers in suits, and tourists with oversized luggage all waiting their turn. Terminal 3 served both domestic and international flights, making it one of the busiest at SFO. As he waited, Marcus noticed the famous art installations that filled the airport. SFO was known for its museum-quality displays, with colorful sculptures hanging from the ceiling and interactive exhibits along the walls. On any other day, he might have stopped to appreciate them. "Next, please," called the airline agent. Marcus stepped forward, handing over his ID and confirmation number. The agent typed quickly on her computer. "Window or aisle?" she asked. "Window, please," Marcus replied. He always chose window seats so he could lean against the side and sleep. After checking his bag, Marcus headed toward security. The line snaked, back and forth between retractable barriers, filled with passengers removing shoes, belts, and laptops. TSA agents called out instructions as people moved through the metal detectors. Empty your pockets completely. Laptops out of bags and in their own bin. No liquids over 3.4 ounces. Marcus had done this so many times that he prepared automatically. Shoes off, watch and phone in the small plastic bin, laptop out of his backpack. He stepped through the metal detector without issue, gathered his belongings, and quickly put his shoes back on while standing to the side. Security had taken longer than expected. It was now 9:20 a.m. Marcus checked the departure board and found his gate number, A12. He had 40 minutes until boarding. The terminal stretched out before him with its high ceilings and large windows showing planes taking off and landing on the runways. A mix of shops and restaurants lined the walkway. Marcus's stomach growled, reminding him that he'd had nothing but a granola bar for breakfast. He spotted a Pete's Coffee near gate A10, just 2 gates away from his own. Perfect. He could grab something to eat and still keep an eye on his gate. ETZ, he approached the coffee shop. Marcus saw the line was about 5 people deep. He joined it, setting down his carry-on bag and checking his phone. No new messages from his family, which was good news. It meant his sister wasn't worried about him yet. Flight 11372 to Seattle, now boarding all zones at gate A8, announced a voice over the loudspeaker. The terminal was a symphony of sounds, announcements echoing through the space, conversations in multiple languages, the beep of carts carrying elderly or disabled passengers, and the rolling of thousands of suitcase wheels on the polished floor. Marcus looked around at his fellow travelers. An exhausted mother tried to keep 2 small children entertained while they waited for their flight. A group of college students with backpacks laughed together near a charging station. Business travelers typed furiously on laptops, trying to finish work before boarding. Near the counter of the adjacent cafe, Marcus noticed an elegant older woman with striking white hair. She wore a stylish outfit, simple but clearly expensive, and carried herself with unusual poise. But despite her composed appearance, she seemed frustrated. She was juggling several bags while trying to use her phone and holding what looked like a boarding pass. Something about her caught Marcus's attention. Maybe it was the contrast between her sophisticated appearance and obvious distress. Or maybe it was just his natural instinct to help people in need. Whatever it was, he found himself watching as she tried unsuccessfully to manage everything at once. The woman appeared to be in her early 70s, though she was clearly someone who took care of herself. Her white hair was cut in a stylish bob, and even from a distance, Marcus could see she had remarkable cheekbones and a thin, graceful figure. There was something vaguely familiar about her, but he couldn't place it. "Sir, did you want to order?" The barista's voice snapped Marcus back to attention. Without realizing it, he had reached the front of the line. "Oh, sorry," he said quickly. "Can I get a medium coffee and a breakfast sandwich, please?" As the barista rang up his order, Marcus glanced back at the white-haired woman. She was now speaking to a cafe employee, her voice carrying a slight accent that Marcus couldn't identify. She seemed to be asking about changing her boarding pass, but the cafe worker kept shaking his head, explaining they weren't airline staff. The woman's phone appeared to be dying. Marcus could see her looking at it with concern as the screen dimmed. She was trying to hold it and her bags while searching through her purse, presumably for a charger. "That'll be $12.75, said the barista. Marcus paid and stepped to the side to wait for his order. He checked the time again, 9:25 a.m. His flight would begin boarding in about 20 minutes. He had plenty of time to eat and get to his gate, but he couldn't stop looking at the white-haired woman, who now seemed close to giving up. She had set her bags down on the floor, and was hunched over her phone, which appeared to have died completely. The breakfast sandwich and coffee arrived, and Marcus grabbed them gratefully. He was hungry after his rushed morning, and the smell of egg and cheese made his stomach growl again. He took a sip of coffee and glanced at his gate. No boarding yet. Then he looked back at the white-haired woman, who was now searching for a place to sit down. Marcus knew he should just go to his gate, eat his breakfast, and mind his own business. That would be the sensible thing to do. But he had never been very good at being sensible when someone needed help. Before he could talk himself out of it, Marcus stepped out of the Pete's Coffee line and walked toward the elegant stranger, his breakfast sandwich in one hand and coffee in the other. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can I help you with anything?" Marcus asked with a friendly smile. The white-haired woman looked up, slightly startled. Up close, she was even more striking. Her eyes were bright blue and alert, her skin remarkably smooth for someone her age. She wore minimal makeup, just a touch of lipstick and mascara that highlighted her natural beauty. "Oh," she said, her voice carrying a slight accent that Marcus still couldn't place. It was soft, but confident. "That's very kind of you to ask. I couldn't help noticing you seem to be having some trouble," Marcus said. "I have a few minutes before my flight, and I'd be happy to help if I can." The woman sighed. "My phone battery died at the worst possible time. My flight to Vancouver has been delayed, and I need to let my son know I'll be late. He's picking me up at the airport." "I have a portable charger," Marcus offered, setting down his coffee and sandwich on a nearby ledge. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small black battery pack with a cord. "You're welcome to use it." Relief washed over the woman's face. "That would be wonderful. Thank you." Marcus helped her connect the charger to her phone. After a moment, the screen lit up with the charging symbol. "It'll take a few minutes to get enough power to turn on," he explained. "While we wait, maybe we could find a place to sit. There are some outlets near the seating area by gate A11. The woman nodded gratefully. "I would appreciate that. I've been standing for quite some time." Marcus picked up one of her bags along with his own carry-on. "I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Chen." "Nice to meet you, Marcus. I'm May," she replied with a warm smile. They walked together to the seating area where Marcus spotted an available outlet. He helped May plug in her phone directly, and they sat down in the adjacent chairs. "Were you in San Francisco for business or pleasure?" Marcus asked, unwrapping his breakfast sandwich. "A little of both," May replied. "I was here for a fashion event, but I also visited some friends. San Francisco is such a beautiful city." "A fashion event?" Marcus asked, curious. May nodded. "I've been modeling for quite some time." "That's amazing," Marcus said sincerely. It made sense. She certainly had the cheekbones and poise for it, even at her age. "I hope you don't mind me saying, but you definitely have a model's presence." May laughed lightly. "Thank you. I started modeling when I was 15, but my career actually took off again in my 60s. Life can surprise you that way." Marcus found that fascinating but didn't want to pry. "Your son must be worried about your delay," he said, changing the subject. "Oh, he's used to it," May said with a small wave of her hand. "He travels constantly himself, but he'll wait. He's a good boy." By now, her phone had gathered enough charge to turn on. Marcus watched as it lit up with notifications. "There we go," he said. "Should be enough to make a call or send a message now." May took the phone and typed out a quick text message. "Perfect. Thank you." She looked up at the departure board. "My flight is now delayed another hour. This fog is terrible for flying." "That's SFO for you," Marcus nodded. "The fog delays are famous here." I once spent 6 hours waiting for a flight to Los Angeles. It's only an hour in the air, but took me all day to get there. May laughed. Airports have become my second home, I think. What about you? Where are you headed today? New York, Marcus replied. My sister is getting married this weekend. How wonderful, May said, her eyes lighting up. Family celebrations are so special. They are, Marcus agreed, though I admit I'm a bit nervous. I'm giving a toast at the reception, and public speaking isn't really my thing. You'll do fine, May assured him. Just speak from the heart. That's what people remember. Marcus appreciated her encouragement. What do you do besides modeling? He asked, genuinely interested in this elegant woman. I'm a dietitian by profession, May explained. I've been practicing for over 45 years. I also wrote a book about my experiences. That's impressive, Marcus said. I'm a nurse at UCSF Medical Center. I work in pediatrics. May's expression softened. A nurse? What important work you do. It takes a special person to care for sick children. Marcus felt his cheeks warm at the compliment. I love it, honestly. The kids are amazing, so resilient, even when facing difficult treatments. They teach me something new every day. As they continued talking, Marcus found May easy to talk to. She told him about her travels around the world for modeling jobs, her passion for nutrition, and how she had raised 3 children while building her career. My children are all grown now, of course, she said. They're all doing interesting things. I'm very proud of them. Marcus shared stories about his most memorable patients, his immigrant parents and their sacrifices, and his sister's journey to becoming an architect in New York. The airport announcement system crackled to life. American Airlines Flight 619 to New York, JFK is now boarding Zone 1 passengers at Gate A12. Marcus looked up in surprise. That's my flight, he said, checking his boarding pass. I'm in Zone 3, so I have a few more minutes. You've been so kind to help me, May said. I don't want you to miss your flight. It's no problem at all, Marcus assured her. Are you all set now? Do you need anything else before I go? May shook her head. You've done more than enough. My phone is charging, I've contacted my son, and now I just need to wait for my flight. Let me make sure your new boarding time is correct, Marcus offered, taking out his own phone. He pulled up the Vancouver flights and checked the status. It looks like they've pushed it back even further. It's now scheduled for 12:45 p.m. Mai sighed. That means I'll need to find the airline desk and see if I can still make my connection in Vancouver. Marcus glanced at his watch, then at his gate where first-class passengers were still boarding. He had a few more minutes. I can help you with that, he said decisively. Let me pull up the airline's rebooking system on my phone. It's faster than waiting in line at the desk. Together, they navigated the airline's app, checking alternative flights and connection options. Marcus found that May could still make her final destination by taking a different route through Seattle instead of Vancouver. This one might actually get you there earlier, he pointed out, showing her the screen. You're a lifesaver, May said gratefully. I would have spent hours figuring this out. Now boarding Zone 2 for American Airlines Flight 619 to New York JFK, announced the gate agent. That's almost me, Marcus said. I should get ready. He helped May gather her things, making sure her phone was still charging and her new flight information was saved. Thank you again, Marcus, May said, her blue eyes warm with genuine appreciation. Meeting helpful strangers like you makes all the travel hassles worthwhile. It was my pleasure, Marcus replied honestly. I hope your trip goes smoothly from here. Good luck with your sister's wedding, May said, and with your toast. Remember, from the heart, I will, Marcus promised. Safe travels, May. As the announcement for Zone 3 boarding came over the speakers, Marcus gave May a final smile and hurried toward his gate, completely unaware that this brief connection with an elegant stranger would change the course of his life. Marcus handed his boarding pass to the gate agent and made his way down the jetway, joining the line of passengers finding their seats. He found his window seat, 23A, and settled in, stowing his backpack under the seat in front of him. As he fastened his seatbelt, his phone buzzed with a text from his sister. "Are you on the plane yet? Mom is driving me crazy asking about you." Marcus smiled and quickly typed back, "Just boarded. On time so far. Tell Mom to relax," he added. "Met a nice older lady at the airport. Her phone died and she needed help rebooking a flight. Reminded me of Grandma Chen," Sandra responded with an eye-rolling emoji. "Always the helper. Just don't miss your connection in Chicago." Marcus put his phone in airplane mode and leaned back, in his seat. The flight attendants began their safety demonstration as the last passengers boarded. Just as the cabin door was about to close, Marcus's attention was drawn to a commotion near the front of the plane. A flight attendant was speaking into the phone at her station, looking concerned. After a brief conversation, she made an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been informed that San Francisco Airport has implemented a ground delay program due to the fog. All departures will be delayed by at least 1 hour. We apologize for the inconvenience." Groans filled the cabin. Marcus thought of May and wondered if her flight would be further delayed too. He hoped she'd be able to make it to Vancouver, or now Seattle, without too much trouble. A man in a business suit across the aisle complained loudly about missing his meeting. A mother tried to calm her disappointed children who had been excited to take off. Marcus understood their frustration but knew these delays were common at SFO. The fog was no one's fault. After about 20 minutes, the pilot's voice came over the intercom. "Folks, this is Captain Wilson speaking. I have some good news and bad news. The good news is that we've been cleared to taxi to the runway. The bad news is that we're number 18 in line for takeoff. We appreciate your patience." More groans from the passengers. Marcus pulled out his book, a mystery novel he'd been reading during breaks at the hospital, but found himself unable to focus. His mind kept drifting back to May. There was something familiar about her that he couldn't quite place. Her accent sounded South African, he now realized, and those striking cheekbones and bright blue eyes. They reminded him of someone, but he couldn't figure out who. As the plane inched toward the runway, Marcus checked the time. It was almost 11 a.m., which meant May would still be waiting for her rebooked flight. On impulse, he turned his phone back on. They weren't in the air yet, so it should be okay, and sent a quick text message to the number May had entered in his contacts. "Hi, May. It's Marcus from the airport. My flight's delayed too. We're stuck on the tarmac. Hope yours is going smoothly now. Safe travels." He turned his phone off again before any flight attendants noticed. It was silly, perhaps, to text someone he'd just met and would likely never see again. But something about their conversation had left an impression on him. The plane continued its slow procession toward the runway. Outside the window, Marcus could see other aircraft lined up like patient elephants in a circus parade. The fog had lifted slightly, but wisps of it still curled around the wingtips. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are now next for takeoff," announced the captain eventually. "Flight attendants, please prepare for departure." Finally, the plane accelerated down the runway and lifted into the air. Marcus watched as San Francisco disappeared beneath the clouds, the Golden Gate Bridge barely visible through the fog before it vanished completely. Once they reached cruising altitude, Marcus tried to nap, but sleep wouldn't come. He kept thinking about his conversation with May. There had been something so gracious about her, So elegant, yet unpretentious. She'd mentioned modeling since she was 15, a career in nutrition, and writing a book. An accomplished woman by any standard. The flight attendant came by with the beverage cart. "Something to drink, sir?" "Just water, please," Marcus replied. He sipped his water. His mind drifted to his patients at the hospital. There was little Sophia, who had just finished her last round of chemotherapy, and Elijah, who was waiting for a kidney transplant. Marcus had promised to bring them both souvenirs from New York. He made a mental note to find something special for each of them. The flight passed uneventfully. Marcus managed to read a few chapters of his book and ate the small bag of pretzels the flight attendants handed out. After about 2 hours, the captain announced they were beginning their descent into Chicago O'Hare for their layover. Marcus checked his watch. Despite the delay, it seemed they would arrive with enough time for him to make his connecting flight to New York. As the plane touched down in Chicago, passengers immediately reached for their phones, eager to check messages. After the flight, Marcus did the same and was surprised to see a response from May. "Thank you for checking on me, Marcus. My flight is now on time through Seattle. Your kindness made a stressful day much better. Enjoy the wedding." He smiled, oddly pleased that she had replied. There was also a text from his sister reminding him about the dinner reservation that night in New York. When they reached the gate, Marcus gathered his things and exited the plane. Chicago O'Hare was as busy as always, with people rushing between terminals. He checked the departures board and found his gate for the New York flight. He had 45 minutes, enough time to grab something more substantial to eat. As he walked through the terminal, he passed a newsstand with magazines displayed in the window. He glanced at them casually, then stopped abruptly and stepped back. There, on the cover of Time magazine, was a face he recognized. A striking woman with white hair, blue eyes, and remarkable cheekbones. The woman he had helped at SFO just hours earlier. The headline read, "May Musk, Redefining Beauty at 74. Marcus stared at the magazine in disbelief. The elegant stranger he had helped with her phone and flight rebooking wasn't just any model. She was May Musk, a famous model who had appeared on magazine covers worldwide. And if he remembered correctly from a news article he'd read, she was also the mother of... The final boarding call for his connecting flight interrupted his thoughts. Marcus hurried to his gate, his mind racing with the revelation. He boarded the plane to New York, completely unaware that his simple act of kindness was already setting much bigger events in motion. On the second flight, Marcus tried to process what he had just learned. May Musk. The name was definitely familiar now. He remembered reading an article about her a few months ago. Something about her breaking barriers in the modeling industry as a senior citizen. But there was more to it than that. As the plane taxied toward the runway, Marcus settled into his seat, which thankfully was another window spot. The woman next to him, a college-aged girl with headphones, barely looked up as he sat down. The flight attendants went through their safety demonstration again, but Marcus's mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about the magazine cover and the elegant woman he had helped. Should he have recognized her? Was it rude that he didn't? "We are now cleared for takeoff," the pilot announced. "Flight attendants, please be seated for departure." The plane accelerated down the runway and lifted into the air, banking slightly as it turned toward the east. Below, Chicago's sprawling expanse gradually disappeared beneath them. Once they reached cruising altitude, Marcus felt tired enough to sleep. The excitement of the day, starting with his rushed morning, and now this surprising revelation, had drained him. He leaned against the window, closed his eyes, and drifted off. He woke with a start when the beverage cart bumped his elbow. "Sorry about that," the flight attendant said. "Would you like something to drink?" "Just water, please," Marcus replied, still groggy. He checked his watch. They were about halfway to New York. The flight map on the screen showed them somewhere over Pennsylvania. Marcus took a sip of water and pulled out his phone, switching it to airplane mode so he could look at his photos. He scrolled through recent pictures of his patients, with their parents' permission, of course, that he planned to show his family. There was Lily after her successful surgery, giving a thumbs up from her hospital bed. And Miguel, who had spent 3 months in the pediatric unit and had drawn Marcus a picture of them together as superheroes. These kids, and their strength, were why he loved being a nurse, despite the long hours and emotional toll. He wondered what May Musk would think of his work. She had seemed genuinely interested when he mentioned he was a pediatric nurse. Marcus put his phone away and tried to return to his book, but found himself too distracted. Who exactly was May Musk again? He knew she was famous, but the details were fuzzy. He pressed the button to turn on the in-flight Wi-Fi. It was expensive, but his curiosity got the better of him. Once connected, he opened his browser and typed May Musk into the search bar. The results loaded slowly. May Musk, 74-year-old model, dietitian, and author. Born in Canada, but raised in South Africa. That explained the accent. Started modeling at 15, but became more famous in her 60s and 70s. Appeared on the covers of Time, Vogue, and other major magazines. And then, there it was. Mother of entrepreneur Elon Musk. Marcus's eyes widened. He had helped Elon Musk's mother with her phone and flight booking? The same Elon Musk who was one of the richest people in the world, who ran Tesla and SpaceX, who was constantly in the news. It seemed impossible. Yet there was May's face on his screen. The same face he had sat across from at SFO just hours ago. The same bright blue eyes and remarkable cheekbones. The same elegant white hair. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our initial descent into the New York area, the captain announced. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. Marcus turned off the Wi-Fi and put his phone away, still processing this information. He had treated May like he would any other person who needed help, because to him, that's all. She was at the time. Just another traveler having a difficult day. He felt a small sense of pride in that. He hadn't helped her because she was famous, or because of who her son was. He had helped her simply because she needed it. The plane descended through the clouds, revealing the New York skyline in the distance. Marcus always felt a thrill seeing the city from above. The densely packed buildings, the rivers surrounding Manhattan, the patches of green that marked the parks. They touched down at JFK Airport at 5:23 p.m. local time. As the plane taxied to the gate, passengers began retrieving their belongings from overhead bins, eager to deplane after the long journey. Marcus turned his phone off airplane mode, and it immediately buzzed with notifications. Several text messages from his sister and parents asking about his arrival. He quickly responded that he had landed and would be with them soon. Then a new notification caught his eye. An alert from Twitter, now known as X. Marcus didn't use the platform much, mostly following a few healthcare professionals and friends, but he kept the app on his phone. The notification said, Carlos Mendez has mentioned you in a tweet. Carlos was his best friend, the one who had teased him that morning about helping strangers at the airport. Curious, Marcus tapped the notification. The tweet loaded, showing a photo that made Marcus freeze in his seat. It was a picture of him at SFO, helping May with her phone. They were sitting side by side in the terminal, Marcus leaning over to show her something on his device. The caption read, This kind stranger helped May Musk at SFO today and had no idea who she was. Kindness. May Musk. Our Marcus Chen below were already hundreds of likes and several comments. This is so wholesome. Who took this pic? It's going viral. That's the May Musk, mother of Elon. Random acts of kindness are the best. Marcus sat there, stunned, as passengers around him stood and started filing off the plane. How did Carlos even know? Then he realized Carlos followed several tech news accounts and celebrity pages. He must have seen the photo when it started. Circulating, the college girl next to him glanced at his phone screen as she gathered her things. "Whoa, is that you?" she asked, pointing to the photo. "With Elon Musk's mom? That's so cool." Yes, Marcus stammered. "I didn't know who she was at the time." "That's even cooler," the girl said with a smile before joining the line in the aisle. Marcus remained seated, scrolling through the reactions to the photo. Someone else had taken it, presumably another passenger at the airport who recognized May, and it had spread quickly across social media. He found more tweets. This nurse from SF helped a May Musk today when her phone died and flight was delayed. Humanity restored. Kind stranger doesn't recognize celebrity. Helps anyway. Can we find this guy and give him an award or something? By the time Marcus finally stood to exit the plane, his phone was continuously buzzing with notifications. Friends were texting him links to the photo. His email inbox was filling with alerts from social media platforms he rarely used. As he walked through JFK Airport toward baggage claim, Marcus felt like he was in a daze. His simple act of kindness, something he would have done for anyone, had somehow been captured and shared with the world. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice wondered, does May Musk know about this photo too? Marcus made his way through JFK Airport, following the signs to baggage claim. His phone continued to buzz with notifications, but he silenced it and slipped it into his pocket. He needed a moment to process everything. As he waited for his suitcase at the carousel, a middle-aged woman standing nearby kept glancing at him. Finally, she approached. "Excuse me," she said hesitantly. "Are you the nurse who helped Elon Musk's mother today? I just saw it on my feed." Marcus felt his face grow warm. "Yes, that was me, but I didn't know who she was at the time. I was just helping someone who needed assistance." "That's what makes it so special," the woman said with a smile. "In a world where people do things for attention, you were just being kind." Before Marcus could respond, his phone rang. It was his sister Sandra. "Marcus, where are you? Did you get your bag yet?" she asked when he answered. "Still waiting for it," he replied. "Should be out soon." "Well, hurry up." "And why didn't you tell me? You met Elon Musk's mother today? Mom just showed me the picture online." Marcus sighed. "I didn't know who she was, Sandra. She was just a nice lady who needed help with her phone." "This is insane. The photo has thousands of shares already. People are calling you Airport Angel and stuff like that." "Please tell me you're joking." Marcus groaned. "Not even a little bit. Anyway, we're waiting in the pickup area. Dad's driving in circles because they won't let him park. Hurry up." Marcus spotted his suitcase coming around on the carousel and quickly grabbed it. "Got my bag. Be there in 5 minutes." As he walked toward the exit, he noticed more people looking at their phones and then at him. One man even took a picture. It was a strange, uncomfortable feeling, being recognized by strangers for something that, to him, had been such a small, ordinary act. Outside, he found his family waiting in their rented SUV. His sister jumped out as soon as she saw him. "Airport Angel!" she teased, giving him a hug. "You're famous." "Stop it," Marcus said, but he couldn't help smiling. It was good to see his sister after so many months. Sandra looked just like their mother, petite, with straight black hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She wore a stylish dress and heels, looking every bit the successful New York architect. "Let me see your phone," she demanded as they loaded his luggage into the car. "I want to see how many notifications you have." Marcus reluctantly handed it. "Over." Sandra's eyes widened as she unlocked it. 2,000 Twitter notifications? 300 text messages? "Marcus, this is insane!" Their mother leaned out the window. "Marcus, we are so proud of you. You're all over the Chinese news sites." "Two! Great!" Marcus sighed, climbing into the back seat. "Just what I needed before the wedding." His father, a serious man with salt and pepper hair and reading glasses, gave him a nod in the rearview mirror. "Good job, son. You did the right thing, helping that woman." "Thanks, Dad. But it wasn't a big deal. I would have done it for anyone." "That's why people are responding to it," Sandra said, still scrolling through his phone. "Oh my God." May Musk herself retweeted the photo. She wrote, "So grateful for this kind stranger who helped me at SFO today when my phone died and my flight was delayed. The world needs more people like him." Marcus felt a strange mix of emotions. Embarrassment at the attention, but also a small glow of pride that May had remembered him fondly. As they drove toward Manhattan, Sandra continued, reading comments and reactions to him. Someone had identified him as a nurse at UCSF. The hospital's social media account had shared the photo with a message about how proud they were of their staff. Even a few local news stations were asking if anyone knew how to contact him for interviews. "I'm not doing interviews," Marcus said firmly. "This will blow over in a day or two. People will find something else to talk about." "You should at least post something," Sandra argued. "Acknowledge it." "Maybe later," Marcus said, looking out the window as they crossed the bridge into Manhattan. The city skyline glittered in the evening light, a far cry from the fog he'd left behind in San Francisco. They arrived at Sandra's apartment in Brooklyn, where Marcus would be staying until the wedding. It was a stylish two-bedroom with large windows and exposed brick walls, exactly what you'd expect from an architect's home. "Michael's staying with his parents until the wedding," Sandra explained, referring to her fiancé. "Old-fashioned tradition thing. His idea, not mine." Inside, Sandra's roommate Jen was waiting with takeout food. "The famous brother arrives," she announced, giving Marcus a hug. "I've been watching your rise to internet fame all afternoon." They ate dinner together, with Marcus trying desperately to change the subject from his viral moment to wedding details, but it was no use. Everyone wanted to hear about May Musk. "What was she like in person?" Jen asked. "She seems so elegant in her photos." "She was very kind," Marcus admitted. "Gracious and down to earth. We just chatted about normal things, her modeling, my nursing job, Sandra's wedding. She gave me advice about my toast." "Elon Musk's mother gave you advice about your wedding toast?" Sandra exclaimed. "That's definitely going in my speech now." After dinner, Marcus finally gave in to curiosity and checked his social media accounts. The photo had spread even further, appearing on Instagram, Facebook, and news websites. People were calling it a reminder of humanity and proof that kindness still exists. His email inbox contained messages from reporters, podcast hosts, and even a book agent asking if he'd ever considered writing about everyday heroism in healthcare. It was overwhelming. "I'm going to bed," he announced, exhausted from the travel and the unexpected attention. "We have wedding stuff to do tomorrow, right?" Yep, Sandra confirmed. Picking up your tux, final menu tasting, and rehearsal dinner. Preparations? Good. Normal wedding things. That's what I want to focus on. In the guest room, Marcus finally had a moment alone to process the day's events. He sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. 36 hours ago, he had been a regular nurse rushing to catch a flight. Now, he was an internet sensation for doing something he considered completely ordinary. He picked up his phone one last time and opened the original tweet with the photo. Looking at it now, he could see why it had captured people's attention. In the background, the busy airport. Terminal was a blur of motion and stress, but in the foreground, there was a moment of genuine human connection. An elegant older woman with striking white hair smiling gratefully at a young man who was focused entirely on helping her. Marcus zoomed in on May's face in the photo. There was something so genuine about her expression. No pretense, no awareness that she was being photographed. Just authentic appreciation for a simple kindness. He was about to put his phone away when a new notification appeared. A direct message on Instagram. It was from Elon Musk, a verified account. Marcus's heart skipped a beat as he opened it. "Thank you again for your kindness at the airport today," the message read. "It's rare to find someone who helps others with no expectation of recognition or reward. I told my son about the helpful nurse I met. Wishing you well and good luck with your sister's wedding, May." Marcus read the message twice, a smile spreading across his face. There was something touching about May taking the time to reach out personally, especially given how busy her life must be. He typed a quick response. "Thank you for your message, May. I truly enjoyed meeting you and was happy to help. I hope you made it safely to your destination. All the best to you and your family." He hesitated before hitting send, still amazed that he was messaging with someone so well known. After sending it, he put his phone on the nightstand and tried to get some sleep. Tomorrow would be a busy day of wedding preparations. Morning came quickly. Marcus woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of his sister talking on the phone in the kitchen. Yes, he's still sleeping. No, I don't think he wants to do interviews. I know it's a great human interest story, but... Marcus groaned and pulled his pillow over his head. The viral story clearly wasn't going away yet. He got up, showered, and joined Sandra in the kitchen. She gave him an apologetic look as she ended her call. "That was Good Morning America," she said. "They want you on the show." "Absolutely not," Marcus replied, pouring himself coffee. "I helped someone at the airport. That's it. End of story." "Fine, but your phone's been blowing up all morning. The hospital called too. They're getting tons of media inquiries." Marcus sighed. "I should call my supervisor." Before he could, there was a knock at the door. Sandra opened it to reveal her fiancé, Michael, carrying bagels and a newspaper. "The man of the hour," Michael said with a grin, handing Marcus the newspaper. "You made the New York Post." Sure enough, there was the photo, printed on page 6, with the headline, "Kindness Takes Flight. Stranger helps billionaire's mom at airport." "This is ridiculous," Marcus muttered, but felt a smile tugging at his lips despite himself. The day passed in a whirlwind of wedding activities. They picked up Marcus's tux, attended the menu tasting, and finalized details for the rehearsal dinner. Marcus was grateful for the distraction, though he couldn't escape the occasional double-take from people who recognized him from social media. At the tuxedo shop, the owner asked for a selfie with him. At the restaurant for the tasting, a server quietly thanked him for reminding everyone what kindness looks like. Even the wedding planner mentioned seeing his photo online. By evening, when they gathered for the rehearsal dinner at an upscale restaurant in Manhattan, Marcus had stopped being surprised by the recognition. Instead, he focused on his role as brother of the bride, practicing his walk down the aisle and helping elderly relatives find their seats. The dinner was elegant, but relaxed, just close family and the wedding party enjoying good food and sharing stories. Sandra looked radiant in a white cocktail dress, leaning against Michael as they laughed with friends. During a lull in the conversation, Sandra's future mother-in-law turned to Marcus. "So, tell us about meeting Elon Musk's mother," she said with a smile. "Everyone's talking about it." Before Marcus could respond, his father interjected. "My son has always been like this. When he was 10, he spent his allowance buying lunch for a homeless man near our house. This is nothing new for him." Marcus felt warmth spread through his chest at his father's rare show of pride. His dad had always been a man of few words. "It really wasn't anything special," Marcus insisted. "But I did get a nice message from May last night. She seems like a genuinely kind person." This revelation led to excited questions from everyone at the table, which Marcus answered patiently. Yes, she was as elegant in person as she appeared in photos. No, she never mentioned her famous son. Yes, she was remarkably down-to-earth for someone so successful. "Enough about my brother's brush with fame," Sandra said eventually. "This weekend is supposed to be about me." Everyone laughed, and the conversation turned back to wedding details. Later that night, as the dinner was winding down, the best man tapped his glass for attention. "We'll save the official speeches for tomorrow," he said, "but I'd like to invite Sandra's brother, Marcus, to say a few words. I hear you got some toast advice from a certain famous model today." All eyes turned to Marcus, who reluctantly stood. He hadn't prepared anything, but looking around at the happy faces of family and friends, the words came naturally. "When I met May Musk at the airport, before I knew who she was, she gave me advice about this toast. She said to speak from the heart, because that's what people remember." He turned to his sister and Michael. "So from the heart, I've watched Sandra grow from my annoying little sister into an incredible woman with a brilliant mind and a generous spirit. Michael, I've seen how you look at her, like she's your favorite person in the world, which is exactly how she deserves to be seen." Marcus raised his glass. "To finding the people who see us, who help us when we need it, and who love us for exactly who we are. To Sandra and Michael." "To Sandra and Michael," everyone echoed, raising their glasses. As people began to leave, hugging and promising to see each other at the ceremony tomorrow, Sandra pulled Marcus aside. "That was perfect," she said, hugging him tightly. "See? You didn't need to be nervous about your toast." "The real one's tomorrow," Marcus reminded her. "And it'll be great." She looked at him carefully. "How are you handling all this attention?" Marcus shrugged. "It's weird, but it'll pass." "Maybe. But I'm really proud of you, you know? Not for helping someone famous, but for being the kind of person who helps anyone without thinking twice. You've always been that way." As they left the restaurant, a few people on the street did double takes, and someone took a photo. But Marcus barely noticed. His mind was on tomorrow, on his sister's happiness, and on the strange series of events that had brought a moment of unexpected connection into his ordinary life. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear, a perfect October day in New York. From Sandra's apartment, Marcus could see sunlight glinting off the Manhattan skyline across the river. It was going to be a beautiful day for his sister to get married. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 p.m. at a renovated historic building in Brooklyn. While Sandra went to the salon with her bridesmaids, Marcus had a few hours to himself. He decided to go for a run in Prospect Park to clear his head. The park was busy with weekend joggers, families with strollers, and people walking dogs. A few runners nodded at him as they passed, but thankfully, no one seemed to recognize him from the viral photo. The exercise felt good after days of travel and rich food. When he returned to the apartment, sweaty but refreshed, he checked his phone and saw a new Instagram notification. His heart jumped a little, thinking it might be another message from May, but it was a different notification. Someone had tagged him in a post. He opened it and found that Musk had posted their airport photo on her official Instagram account. Her caption read, "Thank you to this kind stranger who helped me at San Francisco Airport when my phone died and my flight was delayed. We need more people like him in the world." Kindness matters. The post already had over 100,000 likes and thousands of comments. Marcus sat down heavily on the couch, staring at his phone. This was a whole new level of exposure. Musk had millions of followers, including celebrities, business leaders, and influencers from around the world. His phone buzzed with a text from Carlos. "Dude! Musk posted about you. Check her Insta." Before he could reply, the apartment buzzer rang. It was the wedding photographer, arriving early to take photos of the bride getting ready. Marcus buzzed her in and quickly changed into a t-shirt and jeans. He would put on his tux later at the venue. For the next few hours, Marcus was thankfully too busy with wedding preparations to worry about his unexpected internet fame. He helped coordinate with vendors, welcomed out-of-town relatives, and made a last-minute trip to the florist when there was a mix-up with the boutonniere. By the time he arrived at the venue to get dressed, guests were already beginning to arrive. The historic building had been transformed with flowers, candles, and string lights. Sandra's vision was coming to life beautifully. In the groom's suite, Marcus changed into his tux alongside Michael and the groomsmen. They shared a toast with expensive whiskey Michael's father had provided. "To new beginnings," Michael said, raising his glass, "and to the Chen family. Thanks for welcoming me." As they clinked glasses, Michael pulled Marcus aside. "Sandra showed me that post from Musk. Pretty incredible," Marcus shrugged. "Just right place, right time." "No way," Michael shook his head. "Most people would have walked past. You didn't." Before Marcus could respond, the wedding planner knocked on the door, informing them it was almost time for the ceremony. The wedding was perfect. Sandra looked radiant walking down the aisle on their father's arm. Their mother cried happy tears in the front row. Marcus stood tall beside Michael, watching his little sister say her vows with a clear, confident voice. During the reception, while the band played and guests danced, Marcus's phone vibrated in his pocket. He normally wouldn't check it during such an important event, but something made him pull it out for a quick glance. It was a direct message on Instagram from Musk's official account. "I hope your sister's wedding is beautiful," the message began. "I told my son about the helpful nurse I met at the airport, and he was touched by your kindness as well. Enjoy this special day with your family." Marcus smiled and tucked his phone away, feeling a warm glow that had nothing to do with the champagne he'd been drinking. He made his way to the dance floor, where Sandra was dancing with their father. "May I cut in?" he asked. Their father stepped aside with a nod, and Marcus took his sister's hands. "Having fun, Mrs. Reynolds?" he teased, using her new married name. "The best day?" Sandra beamed. "Everything's perfect." They danced in comfortable silence for a moment before Sandra asked, "So what had you smiling at your phone just now? Not more viral fame?" Marcus hesitated, then decided to tell her. "Actually, yes. Musk sent me another message. She said she told her son about meeting me." Sandra's eyes widened. "Elon Musk knows about my brother? That's crazy." "I doubt he gives it much thought," Marcus laughed. but it was nice of her to reach out again. After the dance, Marcus gave his official toast. It was heartfelt and funny, full of childhood stories and genuine wishes for the couple's happiness. Several guests came up afterward to compliment him, including an older gentleman who turned out to be a family friend of Michael's parents. "That was a wonderful speech, young man," he said, shaking Marcus's hand firmly. "Michael tells me you're a nurse at UCSF?" "Yes, in pediatrics," Marcus replied. "Admirable profession. I'm flying back to San Francisco tomorrow. United Flight 472. Are you heading back soon?" Marcus nodded. "Sunday afternoon. Back to work on Monday." "What seat are you in?" the man asked. 28B, I think. Middle seat." The man pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. "Check your email in a few minutes. I've upgraded you to first class. Consider it a thank you for being a healthcare hero and for that viral moment of kindness that's making so many people smile." Before Marcus could protest, the man walked away to join another conversation. Stunned, Marcus checked his email and found the flight change confirmation. His middle seat in economy had indeed been changed to 2A, a window seat in first class. SolarCity wedding continued late into the night. Marcus danced with bridesmaids, chatted with relatives, and made sure his parents were enjoying themselves. By the time he helped put Sandra and Michael into their getaway car, covered in flower petals and well wishes, it was nearly 2 a.m. Back at Sandra's apartment, now feeling strangely empty without her, Marcus packed his suitcase for tomorrow's flight. The weekend had been a whirlwind of emotions and unexpected moments. As he set his alarm for the morning, a final notification appeared on his phone. An email from the hospital administration at UCSF Medical Center. The subject line read, "Meeting. Request Monday morning." Marcus frowned. The hospital had been getting media requests about him, but he hadn't done any interviews or anything that might reflect poorly on his workplace. Why would administration want to meet with him first thing Monday? He opened the email, but it contained only a brief request to meet with the hospital director at 9 a.m. Monday, with no explanation of the topic. Marcus felt a knot of worry form in his stomach. After the joy of the wedding and the strange excitement of his viral moment, was this going to be a problem at work? He set his phone aside and tried to sleep, but his mind kept racing with possibilities. Whatever was waiting for him back in San Francisco, Marcus sensed that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't yet imagine. The flight back to San Francisco on Sunday was smooth and comfortable, especially in the unexpected luxury of first class. Marcus enjoyed the extra legroom and hot meal, though he still felt out of place among the business travelers in suits with their laptops open. The older gentleman who had upgraded his seat was nowhere to be seen, apparently on a different flight. Marcus wondered who he was and why he'd been so generous to a stranger. Then again, Marcus himself had helped a stranger just days ago, setting this whole chain of events in motion. As the plane began its descent into San Francisco, the familiar fog welcomed him home. The city looked beautiful from above, with the Golden Gate Bridge peeking through the mist and the bay sparkling in the afternoon sun. Marcus caught a rideshare from the airport to his apartment in the Mission District. Everything looked exactly as he had left it 4 days ago, yet somehow it felt different. Or maybe he was the one who had changed. He unpacked his suitcase, started a load of laundry, and checked his refrigerator, which was predictably empty except for some questionable leftovers. After ordering delivery from his favorite Thai restaurant, Marcus sat on his couch and let out a long breath. Tomorrow, he would return to work and face whatever this meeting with administration was about. For now, he just wanted to relax and process the eventful weekend. His phone rang. It was Carlos. "Airport Angel returns. Carlos exclaimed when Marcus answered. "How was the wedding?" "Amazing," Marcus replied. "Sandra looked beautiful. Everything went perfectly." "And how does it feel to be internet famous?" Marcus laughed. "Weird, really weird. But I think it's already dying down." "Not as much as you'd think," Carlos said. "That post from Musk has over 1 million likes now. You're like a mini celebrity." "Well, my 15 minutes will be over soon enough," Marcus said. "I'm just looking forward to getting back to normal life tomorrow." "Speaking of which, what time are you working? Want to grab dinner after your shift?" Marcus hesitated. "I should be done by 7, but I have this strange meeting with hospital administration first thing in the morning. Not sure what that's about." "Probably want to use you for publicity," Carlos suggested. "Good press for the hospital to have their nurse go viral for being nice." "Maybe," Marcus said, though he wasn't convinced. "Anyway, dinner tomorrow sounds good." After they hung up, Marcus spent the evening catching up on emails and preparing for his work week. He laid out his scrubs for the morning and went to bed early, knowing he needed to be sharp for whatever awaited him at the hospital. Monday morning arrived with typical San Francisco fog and a slight drizzle. Marcus woke before his alarm, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension about returning to work and his mysterious meeting. He arrived at UCSF Medical Center 30 minutes early, wanting time to settle in before meeting with administration. The familiar halls of the pediatric unit felt comforting after his time away. "Look who's back," called Nurse Rita, the charge nurse who had been at UCSF for over 20 years. "Our famous friend," Marcus groaned. "Not you too, Rita." "Oh, honey, everyone's seen that photo," she laughed, giving him a quick hug. "But don't worry. We won't treat you any differently. You've always been special to us, long before the internet discovered you." Several other nurses and doctors stopped by to welcome him back and tease him about his viral moment. Most had already seen the photo, and a few confessed to following Musk on social media after discovering their connection. At 8:45 a.m., Marcus headed to the administrative wing for his meeting. His supervisor, Diane, met him in the hallway. "Marcus, welcome back," she said warmly. "How was the wedding?" "Beautiful," he replied. "Diane, what's this meeting about? Am I in some kind of trouble for the whole viral photo thing?" Diane looked surprised. "Trouble? Of course not. If anything, it's been wonderful publicity for the hospital, but I don't actually know what the meeting is about. Dr. Harmon just asked me to make sure you came by this morning. This was unusual." Dr. Harmon was the hospital director and rarely met with staff nurses. Marcus felt his anxiety increase as Diane led him to a conference room rather than Dr. Harmon's office. "Good luck," she said with an encouraging smile before heading back to the unit. Marcus took a deep breath and opened the door to the conference room. Inside, Dr. Harmon sat at the head of the table, along with several people Marcus recognized as board members and hospital executives. They all looked up as he entered. "Ah, Mr. Chen," Dr. Harmon said, standing to shake his hand. "Thank you for joining us this morning. Please, have a seat." Marcus sat down, his heart pounding. Was this some kind of formal review? Had he unknowingly violated a hospital policy by appearing in that viral photo? "I'm sure you're wondering why we asked you here today," Dr. Harmon continued with a smile that revealed nothing. "Yes, sir," Marcus replied cautiously. "Well, we've received some interesting news that directly involves you," Dr. Harmon said, glancing at the others around the table. "As you know, UCSF Medical Center is committed to training the next generation of healthcare professionals, particularly those who demonstrate exceptional compassion and empathy." Marcus nodded, still confused about where this was going. Yesterday evening, We received notification of a significant anonymous donation to our nursing program, Dr. Harmon explained. The donor has established a new scholarship fund for nursing students. One of the board members, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, leaned forward. This scholarship will cover full tuition for 5 nursing students each year who demonstrate exceptional empathy and commitment to patient care. That's wonderful, Marcus said, genuinely pleased, but still puzzled about why they were telling him this in a special meeting. Dr. Harmon smiled. The donor has requested that this be called the Compassionate Care Scholarship, and they've specifically requested that you, Marcus Chen, help select the recipients. Marcus blinked in surprise. Me? Why would they want me involved? The donor was quite specific, Dr. Harmon replied. They believe you embody the qualities they wish to nurture in future nurses. I don't understand, Marcus said, shaking his head slightly. Who is this donor? Dr. Harmon reached into a folder and pulled out an envelope. This was included with the donation notification. It's addressed to you. Marcus accepted the envelope with trembling fingers. It was heavy cream-colored paper with his name written on the front in elegant handwriting. May I? He asked, and Dr. Harmon nodded. Marcus carefully opened the envelope, aware of the curious eyes watching him. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a handwritten note. As he began to read, his breath caught in his throat. The note was written in a bold, confident hand. Kindness ripples further than we can see. Thank you for helping my mother when she needed it. The world needs more nurses like you. E.M. Marcus stared at the initials, his mind racing. E.M. Elon Musk. The note was from Elon Musk himself. He looked up at Dr. Harmon and the board members, who were watching him with curious expressions. Is everything all right, Mr. Chen? Dr. Harmon asked. Yes, Marcus managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes, it's fine. It's just unexpected. He handed the note to Dr. Harmon, who read it quickly, his eyebrows rising. E.M., the director said thoughtfully. Is this who I think it is? Marcus nodded. I think so. A few days ago, I helped a woman at the airport whose phone had died. She was having trouble with her flight. I didn't know who she was at the time, but it turned out to be May Musk. The room fell silent as understanding dawned on everyone's faces. The silver-haired board member was the first to speak. You helped Elon Musk's mother at the airport, and now he's funding a nursing scholarship at our hospital? Apparently, Marcus said, still trying to process it himself. Dr. Harmon cleared his throat. Well, this is extraordinary. The donation is substantial. 5 full scholarships per year, plus additional funds for program development. How substantial? Asked another board member. $10 million, Dr. Harmon replied quietly. Marcus felt the room spin slightly. $10 million, because he had stepped out of a coffee line to help someone in need. The donor, Dr. Harmon glanced at the note, wishes for you to help develop the criteria for the scholarship and participate in selecting recipients. Would you be willing to take on that responsibility in addition to your regular duties? Of course, Marcus said without hesitation. It would be an honor. Dr. Harmon smiled. Excellent. We'll set up a meeting later this week to discuss the details. In the meantime, this news will remain confidential until we're ready to make a formal announcement. The meeting wrapped up shortly after, with handshakes all around. Marcus left, the conference room in a daze, the note carefully tucked into his pocket. He had a shift to start, patients to care for, and somehow he needed to focus despite the bombshell that had just been dropped on his life. In the pediatric unit, everything was reassuringly normal. Children needed their medications, parents needed reassurance, and charts needed updating. Marcus threw himself into the familiar routine, finding comfort in the work he loved. During his lunch break, he sat alone in the staff room, rereading the note. Elon Musk, one of the richest, most famous people in the world, had written him a personal note and donated millions to his hospital because Marcus had helped his mother charge her phone. He remembered May's words during their conversation at the airport. You never know how important a moment of kindness might be to someone else's story. How true that had turned out to be. His shift that day was particularly challenging. 8-year-old Lily, who had recovered from her surgery while Marcus was away, was being discharged. Her parents had finally been able to arrange childcare for their other children and were there to take her home. The joy on their faces as they wheeled Lily out of the unit made Marcus's heart full. But the joy was balanced by heartache. A new patient, a 5-year-old boy named Jamie, had been admitted with cancer symptoms similar to those Marcus had seen too many times before. The fear in his parents' eyes was painfully familiar. Marcus spent extra time with Jamie, explaining the tests he would undergo in simple terms and showing him how the hospital bed controls worked like a spaceship command center. By the time Marcus finished his shift, Jamie was laughing and asking when Nurse Marcus would return. Tomorrow morning, Marcus promised, and maybe I'll bring a special space mission for brave astronauts like you. As he clocked out, Nurse Rita caught up with him. So, what was that big meeting about this morning? She asked. You've been quiet all day. Marcus smiled. I can't say much yet, but something good is coming. Something that's going to help. A lot of future nurses. Rita raised an eyebrow but didn't press for details. Well, whatever it is, they chose the right person to be involved. You've always had a special touch with patients, Marcus. That's not something you can teach. Maybe not, Marcus replied. But you can recognize it in others and help it grow. That evening, Marcus met Carlos for dinner at their favorite taqueria. He couldn't reveal the details of the scholarship yet, but he shared the basic outline. So your viral moment is turning into something real, Carlos said, impressed. That's amazing, Marcus. It's overwhelming, Marcus admitted. I keep thinking about how random it all was. If I hadn't been running late that morning, if I hadn't stopped to help her, if someone hadn't taken that photo. But you did, and you were. And they did, Carlos said simply. That's life, man. Small moments that change everything. As they walked home after dinner, Marcus thought about all the changes this one small act had set in motion. A scholarship that would help hundreds of nursing students over the years. Future nurses who would care for thousands of patients. Lives that would be touched, comforted, saved. All because he had stepped out of a coffee line to help a stranger with white hair who couldn't get her boarding pass to work. Back in his apartment, Marcus sat down to write an email to the scholarship committee with his initial thoughts on selection criteria. At the top of his list, demonstrated compassion, genuine empathy, and a willingness to go above and beyond for those in need. As he typed, he remembered something else May had said to him at the airport. You make a difference just by being you. Marcus smiled. In a world that often seemed divided and harsh, sometimes the simplest acts of kindness could create the most powerful ripples. He thought of little Jamie, facing difficult treatments ahead. Of Lily, finally going home to recover. Of his sister, Sandra, beginning her new life with Michael. Of May Musk, continuing her travels and remarkable career. And yes, even of Elon Musk, who had taken the time to write a note and make a donation that would change countless lives. Small connections, unexpected moments, the invisible threads that link us all together. Marcus closed his laptop and looked out at the San Francisco night, feeling a deep sense of peace. Tomorrow would bring new patients, new challenges, and now, new responsibilities. But tonight, he was simply grateful for the reminder of how much difference one person could make. One moment, one kind act at a time. 6 months passed since that fateful day at San Francisco International Airport. Spring arrived in the city, bringing warmer weather and colorful flowers to the parks. Marcus jogged through on his days off. The Compassionate Care Scholarship had officially launched with great success. Marcus had worked with the hospital board to create a fair selection process that looked beyond grades to find nursing students with exceptional empathy and dedication to patient care. Today was special. Marcus was meeting the first 5 scholarship recipients at a small ceremony in the hospital auditorium. He adjusted his tie nervously as he waited backstage. Public speaking still wasn't his favorite thing, even after months of increased attention. 5 minutes, Mr. Chen, said the event coordinator, checking her clipboard. Marcus nodded and pulled out his phone, scrolling through the congratulatory texts from his family. Sandra and Michael had sent a photo from their new apartment in New York with the message, "So proud of you, big brother." His parents had arrived in San Francisco yesterday to attend the ceremony, beaming with pride at their son's accomplishment. The media interest in Marcus's viral moment had eventually died down, as he'd predicted. But its impact had only grown. The scholarship was just the beginning. UCSF Medical Center had created a new staff recognition program called the Chen Award for employees who demonstrated exceptional compassion. Marcus had been embarrassed by the name, but touched by the gesture. "We're ready for you," the coordinator said, gesturing toward the stage. Marcus took a deep breath and walked out to the podium. The auditorium was filled with hospital staff, nursing students, and community members. In the front row sat his parents, Carlos and Dr. Harmon. Behind them were the 5 scholarship recipients, diverse in age, background, and experience, but united by their commitment to compassionate care. "Good morning," Marcus began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "6 months ago, I helped a stranger at the airport. It was a simple act that I would have done for anyone. I had no idea who she was, or how that moment would change so many lives." He paused, looking at the scholarship recipients. "Today, we celebrate the first Compassionate Care Scholarship winners. These 5 outstanding individuals weren't selected just for their academic achievements, though they're all excellent students. They were chosen because they've demonstrated extraordinary kindness, empathy, and dedication to helping others." Marcus introduced each recipient, sharing stories from their applications that had moved the selection committee. There was Maria, who volunteered at a homeless shelter while working nights to support her family. Jackson, who had been inspired to become a nurse after caring for his grandmother with Alzheimer's. Priya, whose gentle approach with pediatric patients reminded Marcus of his own philosophy of care. After the formal presentations and photos, Marcus chatted with the recipients during the reception. Maria approached him with tears in her eyes. "Need you to know what this means to me," she said quietly. "Without this scholarship, I wouldn't be able to continue my nursing education. You've changed my life." "I'm just the messenger," Marcus replied. "The real credit goes to the donor." "But it was your kindness that inspired it all," Maria insisted. Later that evening, Marcus had dinner with his parents at their favorite Chinese restaurant in Chinatown. His father, normally so reserved, reached across the table and patted Marcus's hand. "Your grandmother Chen would be so proud," he said. "She always said you had a special heart." Marcus smiled, remembering his grandmother's gentle wisdom. She had been the one to encourage his interest in healthcare, telling him stories about the village doctor in Taiwan who had saved her brother's life when they were children. "I think about her a lot these days," Marcus admitted, "especially when I'm with my patients." His mother wiped away a tear. "Marcus, we've always been proud of you. But seeing how many lives you're touching now, it's beyond anything we imagined." SolarCity. Next morning, Marcus arrived at the hospital for his regular shift. As he approached the pediatric unit, he noticed something unusual. A delivery person with a large arrangement of flowers. "Marcus Chen?" the delivery person asked. "That's me," Marcus confirmed, surprised. "These are for you." The arrangement was stunning. White and blue flowers elegantly arranged in a simple vase. Marcus set them down at the nurse's station and opened the small card attached. Saw the scholarship announcement. "My mother was right about you. Keep making ripples. E.M." Rita peered over his shoulder. "Secret admirer?" Marcus smiled. "Something like that." The day proceeded as normal. Medications, treatments, charts, and conversations with worried parents. Marcus spent extra time with 10-year-old Devin, recently diagnosed with leukemia, showing him how to make paper airplanes that would fly all the way across his hospital room. During his lunch break, Marcus received an email notification about a new scholarship application that had arrived after the deadline. Normally, late applications weren't considered, but something made Marcus open this one anyway. The applicant was a young man named Alex, who had started a program bringing therapy, dogs to nursing homes while working as a nursing assistant. His personal statement explained that he'd been inspired by a news story about a nurse who helped a stranger at the airport without knowing who she was. Marcus forwarded the application to the committee, with a note suggesting they make an exception for this candidate. Some ripples, it seemed, traveled in unexpected directions. That afternoon, Marcus had a video call scheduled with the scholarship committee to discuss plans for the next year's selection process. As he prepared for the meeting, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hello, Marcus. It's May Musk. I'm going to be in San Francisco next week for a photo shoot. Would you have time for coffee? I'd love to thank you in person." Marcus read the message twice, smiling to himself. He replied that he would be honored to meet with her again. As he walked through the pediatric unit, checking on his patients one last time before the end of his shift, Marcus felt that same sense of peace he'd experienced the night he learned about the scholarship. The hospital hallways were filled with stories of healing and heartbreak, of courage and compassion. Every day, in ways both small and profound, lives intersected and changed each other. Devin waved from his bed as Marcus passed. "Nurse Marcus, my airplane flew all the way to the door." "That's amazing," Marcus exclaimed, giving the boy a high five. "Tomorrow we'll try a helicopter design." Outside Devin's room, Marcus paused to make a note in the chart. A new nurse practitioner he hadn't met before stopped beside him. "You're Marcus Chen, right?" she asked. "I'm Juanita Lopez, just transferred from UCLA Medical. I heard about your scholarship program." "Nice to meet you," Marcus said, shaking her hand. "I have to tell you," Juanita continued, "when I was in nursing school, I almost dropped out after my first clinical rotation. I was overwhelmed and didn't think I had what it took. But my preceptor told me something I never forgot. She said that nursing isn't just about medical knowledge. It's about connecting with people when they're vulnerable, about small kindnesses that make a difference." Marcus nodded. "Your preceptor sounds wise." "She was," Juanita agreed. "And seeing a scholarship that values those qualities? It's what nursing should be about." As Marcus finally headed home that evening, he thought about the countless connections that made up a life. The patients and families he'd cared for, the colleagues he'd worked alongside, and yes, even the strangers he'd helped. Each interaction created possibilities that extended far beyond what anyone could see. Tomorrow, he would start the process all over again. But tonight, walking through the cool San Francisco evening, Marcus felt part of something larger than himself. A web of kindness that stretched outward in all directions, touching lives he would never even know. The following week passed quickly for Marcus. Between his shifts at the hospital, meetings about the scholarship program, and catching up with his parents before they returned to Los Angeles, he barely had time to prepare for his coffee meeting with May Musk. They had arranged to meet at a small cafe near Golden Gate Park, not too crowded, but public enough that May wouldn't be constantly approached for photos or autographs. Marcus arrived 15 minutes early, feeling unusually nervous. He chose a table near the back with a view of the park and ordered a coffee while he waited. At exactly 2 p.m., May walked in. Despite her fame and success, she entered quietly, wearing simple but elegant clothes and minimal makeup. A few patrons glanced up, recognition dawning on their faces, but most returned to their conversations. Marcus stood to greet her. "Ms. Musk, it's good to see you again." "Please, call me May," she said warmly, shaking his hand. "And it's wonderful to see you too, Marcus. Under better circumstances than an airport terminal with a dead phone." They both laughed, and the nervousness Marcus had felt instantly melted away. May ordered tea, and once the server left, she turned to Marcus with genuine interest. "I've been following the news about the scholarship program," she said. "It's a wonderful initiative." "It's been amazing to see it come together," Marcus agreed. "We just selected the first 5 recipients. They're incredible students." "I saw the announcement," May nodded. "My son was quite impressed by the selection criteria. He said it focused on the human qualities that can't be taught in classrooms." Marcus felt a flush of pride at the compliment. "That was important to me. Technical skills can be learned, but compassion and empathy are different. They need to be recognized and nurtured." May smiled. "That's exactly what I saw in you that day at the airport. You didn't just fix my immediate problem. You treated me like a person having a difficult day, not just an inconvenience or a task to complete." "That's how I try to approach nursing too," Marcus explained. "Patients aren't just medical conditions. They're people with fears, hopes, and stories." "My daughter is actually involved with healthcare technology," May said. "I told her about you and the scholarship. She said the industry needs more people with your perspective." Their conversation flowed easily for the next hour. They discussed May's upcoming book tour, Marcus's work with pediatric patients, and their shared belief in the importance of small kindnesses. As they talked, Marcus realized that despite her fame and accomplishments, May was remarkably grounded and genuinely interested in others. "I brought something for you," May said as they finished their drinks. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a small, wrapped package. "A thank you for that day, and for all you're doing now." Marcus carefully unwrapped it to find a beautifully bound journal with his initials embossed on the cover. "For recording your thoughts as the scholarship program grows," May explained. "Sometimes we don't realize the impact of what we're building until we look back on it years later." "This is beautiful," Marcus said, touched by the thoughtful gift. "Thank you." As they prepared to leave, May hesitated. "There's something else. My son is hosting a small gathering next month for people working on meaningful projects in healthcare and education. It's not a public event, just an opportunity for collaboration and sharing ideas. He specifically asked me to invite you." Marcus was stunned. "Me? I'm just a nurse. I'm not developing new technologies or founding companies." "That's precisely why your voice would be valuable," May replied. "Innovation needs to be guided by compassion, and real human experience. People like you remind the technologists who they're ultimately serving. After saying goodbye to May, Marcus walked through Golden Gate Park, trying to process what had just happened. From a chance encounter at an airport to being invited to share ideas with some of the most innovative minds in healthcare. It seemed unreal. His phone buzzed with a text from Carlos. "How was coffee with the famous model?" "Amazing," Marcus replied. "She's incredibly down-to-earth and kind. Invited me to some innovation gathering next month." "See?" Carlos texted back. "I told you this wasn't going to fade away. You're part of their world now." Marcus smiled and put his phone away. He didn't feel like part of their world. He was, still, just Marcus Chen, pediatric nurse who liked running in the park and helping where he could. The next morning at the hospital, Marcus checked in on Devon, whose paper airplane skills had improved dramatically over the past week. "Nurse Marcus," Devon called excitedly. "My blood counts are better today." "That's excellent news," Marcus said, giving the boy a fist bump. "How about we celebrate with a new airplane design?" As they folded paper together, Devon looked up with the direct curiosity only children seem capable of. "My mom showed me that picture of you helping that famous lady. Is that why they named a scholarship after you?" Marcus considered how to explain. "Not exactly. The scholarship isn't named after me. It's about the idea that small acts of kindness matter. I just helped create it." "But you're the one who helped her," Devon persisted. "Yes, but I would have helped anyone who needed it," Marcus explained. "Just like I'd help you, or your mom, or anyone else." Devon thought about this while finishing his paper airplane. "So, if I help people, good things will happen?" Marcus smiled. "Good things happen when we're kind to each other. But we don't help others because we expect something in return. We do it because it's the right thing to do. Like when I shared my pudding with Lily yesterday, even though chocolate's my favorite?" Devon asked. "Exactly like that," Marcus confirmed. Later that afternoon, Marcus met with Dr. Harmon to discuss expanding the scholarship program. The hospital had received several inquiries from other healthcare organizations interested in creating similar initiatives. "You've started something remarkable here, Marcus," Dr. Harmon said. "It's spreading beyond our walls." "I still can't believe it sometimes," Marcus admitted, "all from helping someone charge their phone. But that's precisely why it resonates with people," Dr. Harmon replied. "In healthcare, we're surrounded by technology and procedures and protocols. But at its heart, this work is about human connection, one person helping another through a difficult time." As Marcus left the meeting, he ran into Maria, one of the scholarship recipients, who was starting her clinical rotation at UCSF. "I was hoping to see you," she said. "I wanted to tell you that I've been assigned to the pediatric oncology unit. I'm nervous, but excited." "You'll be wonderful," Marcus assured her. "The kids there are incredible. They'll teach you as much as you'll learn from the staff." Maria nodded. "That's why I requested pediatrics. After hearing you talk about your patients at the scholarship ceremony, I knew that's where I wanted to be." As they parted ways, Marcus felt that now familiar ripple effect. His words had influenced Maria's choice, which would impact the children she would care for, whose lives would touch countless others. That evening, Marcus opened the journal May had given him and began to write. He recorded the day's events, his conversation with Devon, and his hopes for the scholarship program's future. On the inside cover, he wrote a quote from his grandmother Chen that had guided him throughout his life. "A single candle can light 1,000 others without diminishing its own flame." 1 month later, Marcus found himself in an airy, modern building in Palo Alto, surrounded by healthcare innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs. Elon Musk had personally greeted him with a firm handshake and a simple, "Thank you for helping my mother. She's a good judge of character." During a discussion about bringing empathy into medical technology, Marcus was surprised when the moderator asked for his perspective. Speaking from his experience as a nurse, he shared stories of patients who felt lost in the healthcare system, not because of poor medical care, but because they weren't seen as whole people. Technology can solve incredible problems, Marcus Fidesi concluded. But it needs to be guided by the understanding that patients are human beings first, with fears and hopes and dignity. The best innovations make people feel cared for, not just treated. Afterward, several participants approached him to continue the conversation. A startup founder asked if he would consult on a new patient communication platform. A medical school dean wanted to discuss incorporating his ideas into their curriculum. As the event ended, Marcus found himself standing near a large window overlooking the California landscape. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant orange and pink. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said a voice beside him. It was May, elegant as always in a simple white dress. "Beautiful," Marcus agreed. "You made quite an impression today," she said. "People are still talking about your comments," Marcus shrugged. "I just spoke from experience." "That's why it mattered," May replied. "Experience carries truth that theories don't have." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sunset. Marcus thought about the unlikely chain of events that had brought him here. A rushed morning, a dead phone, a simple offer of help. "You know," May said thoughtfully, "when my phone died that day at the airport, I was actually trying to reach Elon about a healthcare initiative he was considering funding. If you hadn't helped me, that call would have been delayed. And perhaps this gathering might never have happened." Marcus looked at her in surprise. "Really?" May smiled. "We never truly know how our actions affect the world around us. The smallest kindness can change everything that follows." As Marcus drove back to San Francisco that night, the city lights glittered like stars against the darkness. He thought about Devon, creating paper airplanes while fighting cancer. About Maria, beginning her journey as a nurse. About the future scholarship recipients whose names he didn't yet know. And he thought about a stranger with striking white hair struggling with her phone at an airport, and how helping her had opened doors he never knew existed. Back in his apartment, Marcus added another entry to his journal before going to bed. "Today, I was reminded that we're all connected in ways we can't see," he wrote. "Every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates possibilities that extend far beyond what we can imagine. The ripples continue, touching lives we may never meet." He closed the journal and placed it on his nightstand, ready for tomorrow's stories. I hope you enjoyed this heartwarming account of how one simple act of kindness created ripples that changed countless lives. Marcus never expected his airport encounter with May Musk would lead to a life-changing scholarship program. But that's the beauty of compassion. You never know how far its impact will reach. Where are you listening from today? I'd love to know which part of the world this message of kindness has reached. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like it and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this. We share new uplifting videos every week that showcase the power of human connection. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Spreading these messages of kindness and awareness is how we create positive change in our world. One small action at a time. Remember, like Marcus, we all have the power to make a difference through simple, everyday acts of compassion.